On the breezy veranda of a seaside villa, I clutched my phone, feeling the weight of frustration in my chest. The words, "Dad," lit up the screen, and as I spoke, my voice trembled with contained emotion. "You just went ahead and did what you wanted, didn't you?" I accused. On the other end, I heard my father's breath catch. "Ava," he replied, his voice heavy, "I thought you'd understand. Sophia needs the money. If we don't cover her debts, well, the family has to support each other, right?" His words only sparked a sarcastic smile from me. Pulling the family card again," I muttered. "I am Ava Moore, forever overshadowed by my younger sister Sophia, who is adored relentlessly by our parents. My earliest, bittersweet memory is from my 6th birthday, receiving the red bicycle I had longed for, only to watch it swiftly claimed by Sophia because she took a fancy to it. She wants it and you're the big sister, they told me, and just like that, the bike was no longer mine. This pattern repeated itself endlessly. The pencil case I got for starting school soon ended up in Sophia's hands. My desires were always secondary. My attempts to join swimming were dismissed because funds were allocated for Sophia's piano lessons. Sophia would feel lonely, they said. My school achievements went unnoticed, overshadowed by trivial incidents involving Sophia. When I excelled in sports or academics, the spotlight somehow always found its way back to her. My significant efforts, like getting into my first-choice university, were met with tepid reactions, while Sophia's mock test results sparked animated discussions at home. I remember the dinners centered around celebrating my accomplishments, yet the conversation invariably orbited around Sophia, her needs, and her successes. Holidays were the same. Sophia received lavish gifts, while I received practical items. By the time I entered university, I had distanced myself emotionally from my family. It was there, amidst the challenges of the windsurfing club and the relentless waves, that I met Charles. He was the club's captain, skilled and confident, contrasting sharply with my novice struggles. His presence marked a turning point, a fresh start where I could be someone other than Sophia's older sister. As I stood on that veranda, phone in hand, the sea breeze mingling with the turmoil inside me, I realized how far I had come and how much further I needed to go to find my place, independent of the shadow cast by my sister. As I struggled in the rough sea, my eyes burning from salt water and fatigue, I was on the brink of giving up. But just then, Charles reached out his hand, reassuring me with a smile. "Everyone starts like this," he encouraged. "I fell all day long as a freshman too." Those words were a lifeline in a sea of challenges, offering me a kindness I'd seldom felt before. One dusk during the final day of our windsurfing camp, I was alone in the water, fighting to stand on my board without success. "Ava, the wind is shifting," Charles called out from the shore. Suddenly, with his guidance ringing in my ears, everything clicked: the direction of the wind, the rhythm of the waves, and the balance of the board. Before I knew it, I was riding the waves. My teammates cheered, but the sight that filled me with pride was Charles's beaming smile. "Don't tense up on the board," he advised gently. "Feel the waves and move with them." His words resonated with me deeply. It was a stark contrast to the indifference I'd always received from my parents, who only had eyes for my sister Sophia. "Ava, you've got talent," Charles later told me, praising my natural intuition for the waves. It wasn't just his technical guidance that drew me to him, but his kindness and the playful mischief in his expressions. A few months later, we started dating, and after graduating from university, we decided to turn our shared passion for marine sports into a career by starting an import company. Despite opposition from those around us, especially my parents who were vehemently against it, we were determined. Charles and I worked tirelessly, raising the startup capital through a mix of part-time jobs and loans from his family. Our first office was a modest apartment, furnished with second-hand desks and cabinets. "This is our starting line," Charles joked, and we laughed together, sharing in the excitement of our new venture. Finding business partners proved challenging. Many dismissed us due to our youth and lack of experience. But we persevered, attending marine sports tournaments, building relationships with athletes, and slowly earning their trust. Our breakthrough came when we secured an exclusive distributor contract with a budding manufacturer in New Zealand who were keen to expand into the US market. The night we signed the contract, we celebrated in our humble office with a cheap bottle of sparkling wine and canned appetizers. We discussed our future, and looking back, that moment marked the real beginning of our journey. My father skeptically questioned the stability of our business, and my mother, still fixated on Sophia's needs, urged me to support the family as Sophia struggled with dropping out of university and her aimless lifestyle. In stark contrast, Charles stood by me, believing in my dreams and ready to face the challenges with me. "If it's us, we can make it happen," he said confidently. With those words in my heart, we took each step to grow our company. The business, which started in a small warehouse, is now well recognized within the industry. 6 years ago, we finally achieved our dream of owning a vacation home, a testament to our hard work and the journey we embarked on together. After an extensive search, Charles and I found our dream vacation home perched on a hill, surrounded by trees, with a stunning ocean view that took our breath away. "This is the one," Charles declared, and I felt the same surge of certainty. Despite my parents' objections over what they deemed an unnecessary luxury, their disapproval ran deeper, still not fully embracing my career or the life I was building with Charles. But none of that mattered. This home was a testament to the dreams Charles and I shared. On our first night there, we sat on the deck under a starry sky, the waves a gentle hum in the background. Charles took my hand and whispered, "Ava, let's grow old together here." Those words echoed in my heart, a promise of future serenity. But that tranquility was shattered by a phone call from my father the morning after I returned from a business trip to Southeast Asia. "Ava, I need to talk to you," he said, his voice falsely confident. I sensed nothing of the impending storm. "It's about your vacation home," he began, and I felt a chill of foreboding. "What about it?" I asked, casual yet cautious. "I've sold it. The ownership transfer is next month," he stated bluntly. His words struck like a blow. "What are you talking about?" I stammered, disbelief and anger intertwining. "Sophia is in trouble," he continued. "She failed at an investment and now owes $500,000. I thought you'd understand. She needs help with the debt." Anger surged through me. "And you sold our vacation home to cover her mistakes? You did this without asking?" He tried to justify. "You barely use it. Sophia's life is at stake. Isn't her well-being more important than a seldom-used house?" "That's Sophia's problem, not ours," I replied, my voice shaking with the effort to remain composed. "How could you sell our home without our consent? How did you even proceed with the sale?" There was a pause, a moment of hesitation from him. "I had your signatures. The documents were prepared." "Forged them?" I gasped, the weight of their betrayal sinking in. "This is a crime. An unauthorized sale is fraud. Don't be ridiculous, Ava. How can you turn a family matter into a police case?" he argued. "This isn't just a family matter. It's a crime," I insisted, my grip on the phone tightening. "Dad, Mom, it's time you stopped cleaning up after Sophia's messes." As I hung up, the sound of the waves filled the void his words had left. The ocean breeze cooled my flushed cheeks, the vacation home before me, a symbol of what Charles and I had strived for, now tangled in a web of deceit. "Yes, we're family," I said to the empty air, a sad resolve in my voice. "And that's exactly why I must report you both for fraud." In the silence that followed, only the relentless whisper of the ocean remained, a reminder of the dreams and struggles that had brought us to this point. I was reeling from the realization of how far my parents were willing to go for Sophia. Their misguided devotion had finally pushed them over an unforgivable edge. In part, I wondered if I should have intervened earlier, but it was clear now that enough was enough. Stowing my phone away, I retreated back into the quiet of the vacation home, trying to process everything. An hour later, my phone buzzed again. It was Charles. "Ava, are you okay?" His voice was calm in the storm. "Yes, I just got off the phone with my dad," I replied, my voice steadier than I felt. "And I heard from the buyer. Charles had news of his own. Turns out the buyer is a university friend of mine. I explained everything, and they pulled out of the sale immediately. A wave of relief washed over me. Thank you, Charles, I sighed deeply, grateful for one less problem to face. And there's more, he continued. The police found the forged documents my parents used. The news tightened a knot in my chest. How could they? I murmured, more to myself than to him. Charles arrived at the vacation home later that evening, concern etched on his face. Are you okay? He asked as he wrapped me in a comforting embrace. The dam of my emotions broke, and I wept openly. Why would they do this? Just because it's for Sophia? Charles stroked my hair, soothing me with gentle words. You've done nothing wrong, Ava. I'm proud of you for standing your ground. The next day, the police launched a full-scale investigation. My parents faced questioning for attempted fraud. My mother tried to call me several times, but I couldn't bring myself to answer. A week later, Charles and I sat on the deck of our vacation home, watching the sunset paint the sky above the ocean. The sound of the waves crashing brought a quiet solace to my troubled heart. Do you remember the day we found this place? Charles asked softly. I did. The day we decided it had to be ours. Although the house was old, fixing it up had woven itself into our shared memories. We repainted railings, replaced floorboards, and renovated the kitchen together. Even our arguments during those renovations felt nostalgic now. Ava, Charles said, squeezing my hand, we're in this together. Whatever challenges come, we'll face them as a team. I nodded, feeling the truth of his words deep within me. My relationship with my parents might never be the same, but that was a loss I was prepared to accept. This was our life, our choices, and this seaside vacation home was a testament to our love and resilience. Meanwhile, the police investigation continued to uncover unsettling details. My parents had known that the property was jointly owned by Charles and me, yet they proceeded with the sale. The forgery of our signatures was meticulously planned, a betrayal that cut deep. They even lied to the real estate agent, claiming that Charles and I were being relocated overseas and could no longer manage the property. Most shocking of all was the revelation that my mother had spread rumors about us in the neighborhood, claiming we had racked up debts and were forcing them to clean up our mess, all to cover for Sophia's irresponsible actions. As the truth came to light, Charles and I stood together, ready to face whatever came next, secure in the knowledge that we had each other. During police questioning, my mother tearfully admitted that what started as a minor financial hiccup ballooned into a $500,000 catastrophe. My parents had exhausted their savings and even sold land to settle Sophia's debts, yet it was still not enough. Desperate, they attempted to sell our beloved vacation home to bridge the financial gap. Throughout the interrogation, my mother maintained Sophia's innocence, claiming she was simply naive and easily deceived, not as astute as me. A statement that left even the seasoned officers speechless. My feelings were a tangled mess. The revelation that my parents had stooped to such desperate measures was hard to digest. Then, amidst this turmoil, Sophia called me. How could you do this, sis? Turning our parents over to the police is cruel, she accused, her voice dripping with her usual victimhood. Calmly, I responded, Sophia, do you realize they tried to sell the vacation home that Charles and I cherish, just to cover your debts? That's not just wrong. It's illegal. But we're family, aren't we? I'm really struggling here, she retorted, her voice a mix of defiance and desperation. It's time you started taking responsibility for your actions. I'm done cleaning up after you, I said before ending the call, a wave of exhaustion washing over me. From childhood, Sophia had been pampered excessively. While I diligently pursued my studies and career, Sophia lived impulsively, constantly rescued by our parents from her financial misadventures. It began with a student loan for $5,000 wasted on luxury shopping sprees with friends, a debt my parents hastily cleared, dismissing it as youthful folly. Her financial recklessness escalated when she misused her tuition money on lavish trips and expensive clothes, causing a $60,000 deficit that my father covered from his savings. Sophia lacks life experience, they'd say, justifying her irresponsibility. By her third year of college, Sophia dropped out, claiming the coursework was too challenging. She soon started a part-time job at a restaurant, where she met a customer who lured her into a dubious investment scheme, resulting in a $69,000 loss. "You wouldn't understand, Ava, because you're so smart," she snapped at me once, blaming me as if my competence was her curse. Despite my parents' pleas for her to sever ties with the deceptive boyfriend and their eventual success in persuading her, they once again settled her debts. Their retirement savings dwindled dangerously. Now, another dubious investment had plunged Sophia $500,000 into debt, and with no resources left, my parents resorted to selling our vacation home. "We must protect her. She's fragile," my mother would insist whenever I objected to their coddling, which only perpetuated Sophia's sense of entitlement and lack of accountability. When I decided to start my own business, my parents opposed it fiercely. "Join a stable company," they urged. "You need to be responsible for Sophia too." But I had already broken free from that toxic cycle. With Charles as my partner and supporter, I was forging my path, determined to live a life defined by my choices and efforts, not by Sophia's chaos. Despite everything, my parents attempted to sell the vacation home, a place imbued with immense significance for Charles and me. By the time they were finished, Sophia's debts had ballooned to over $800,000. Each time they excused her behavior, they would lament, "Sophia isn't at fault. Society is just too harsh. You're lucky, Ava, so you should help." These words now rang with a painful irony. In their quest to shield Sophia, they ended up spoiling her, inadvertently paving the path to her ruin, and now they were jeopardizing our lives too. Charles noted, perhaps more seriously than ever, that they might never have truly accepted our careers. Their readiness to sell the vacation home seemed like just another manifestation of their long-standing disregard for our choices. "That's their problem," I stated firmly. "Our connection, our shared dreams anchored in this vacation home, were untouchable." Charles's reassuring smile fortified me further. We had carved out our path, and the memories we created here were a testament to that resolve. As autumn transitioned to winter, the sea churned more violently, mirroring the turbulence of my familial relationships. Seated together on the deck, Charles and I watched the sunset bleed into the ocean, accepting the likelihood that things with my parents and Sophia would never mend. This was a choice I had made, a boundary I had drawn. When winter set in, the final report from the police confirmed that my parents had received a suspended sentence. Their letters of apology arrived, but I discarded them unread, having learned that forgiveness, when unaccompanied by change, only perpetuates harm. A year later, according to a neighbor who had spoken to a friend of my mother's, my parents were still floundering under the weight of their debts. After the fraudulent sale came to light, my father had been forced to resign. My mother now juggled 3 part-time jobs, mornings at a warehouse, afternoons at a food factory, and nights at a supermarket register. The strain was evident. Locals gossiped about her dramatic weight loss, and their family home had been sold. They, along with Sophia, now lived in a modest apartment on the outskirts of town. Calls from relatives asking if I could assist them were persistent. Each time, my response was consistent. They needed to address their issues independently. Sophia, unchanged by the tumult, had met someone new at a nightclub and was contemplating yet another investment scheme, which she claimed was foolproof. When my parents attempted to intervene, Sophia accused them of being as cold-hearted as I was. Financially drained, they could no longer indulge her demands. My father had taken on a night security job, working tirelessly through weekends, and my mother, once seen weeping alone by the roadside late at night, scavenged for discounts at supermarkets, her dignity eroding with each passing day. Blaming me for their plight, Sophia's anger was unrelenting. "This is all your fault, sis. Reporting them ruined everything. We could have just sold that stupid vacation home," she railed one day. One afternoon, I encountered my mother at the supermarket, hardly recognizing her. Her hair had turned white, her back was stooped, and the hardships were etched deeply into her face. This painful sight was a stark reminder of the consequences of their choices that I had escaped by setting my course with Charles, anchored by our love and the home we fought to protect. When my mother spotted me in the supermarket, she quickly turned away, her shopping basket laden with discounted, soon-to-expire food items. Meanwhile, I learned that my father had collapsed during his late-night security shift, exhausted from overwork. Despite his doctor's warnings, he returned to his job immediately, driven by the fear of debt collectors and their relentless calls. As the year drew to a close, I received an email from Sophia. "Ava, lend me $100,000. I promise I can turn everything around with it." Her consumer loans were maxed out, her credit cards were frozen, and she had exhausted all potential sources from friends or acquaintances. Now, cornered, she was reaching out to me, the sister she seldom acknowledged unless in need. I chose not to respond to her plea. Instead, I sent my parents links to counseling and debt management services. This was the extent of help I was prepared to offer. "Why didn't we see what was happening before it got this bad?" a friend of my mother's lamented. The question echoed in my mind, a painful reminder of the choices that had led my family to ruin. Standing by the window overlooking the ocean, I felt a deep sigh escape me. That evening, as I stared out at the restless waves, Charles came up behind me and wrapped his arms around my shoulders. "You're not at fault," he reassured me. I nodded, comforted by his presence and the firmness of his support. I had made a difficult but necessary decision. Breaking the silence, Charles's voice held a note of resolve. "I've been thinking," he began, his gaze serious. "What if we use this vacation home as a venue for charity events? Specifically, let's introduce underprivileged kids to marine sports." His suggestion struck a chord with me. Having endured the loneliness of being misunderstood by my own family, I felt a strong desire to support children who faced similar feelings of isolation. "That's a wonderful idea," I replied enthusiastically. Charles smiled, his eyes alight with passion. "Your parents saw this place as just a piece of real estate, but to us, it's a place of dreams. If we can share that dream with others." I took his hand, feeling a rush of affection and alignment with his vision. "Let's do it," I said with determination. We changed into our wetsuits and hit the waves, where I felt a profound sense of happiness wash over me. Yes, my relationship with my biological family might have been irreparably damaged, but I had chosen my own path. That choice was not a mistake. Listening to the soothing sound of the waves, Charles and I looked towards the future. This vacation home would continue to nurture our dreams, and now it would also serve as a beacon of hope for others chasing their own dreams.